Welcome to my new bathroom. This is the first time I'm doing a video in the new bathroom. It's not all decorated yet. What looks okay is what's behind me, but that's about it. Everything else is a mess. Lucy and I have gone to the farmer's market. We've done our little morning walk. I've had some coffee. Now I'm going to do my skincare. And you're probably wondering, why are you doing your skincare after you've been to the farmer's market? Because it was early. They open at 7:30 and I try to get there right when they open. So now we're back. I've had a little bit more coffee and I'm going to do my skincare. But first, before I jump into all my serums and everything else, I'm going to do my Nera treatment. I don't think you guys have seen me do my Nera treatment for a while. This portion of the video is in partnership with Nera because they're having their 3rd annual birthday sale and the Nera is now 40% off. Starting today, and I believe it goes through the 21st. I'll have the details listed down below. I just read it. You'd think I remember. I don't know. Anyway, it'll all be listed down below. If you're not familiar with the Nera, this is an FDA cleared at-home laser device, and it is made by a company that specializes in lasers. I've been using the Nera, gosh, for I think about 2 years now, and for me, the biggest change I've seen is in my marionette lines right here, my nasolabial folds and my marionette lines. And I'll go ahead and throw up a picture of what they look like before. Now, clearly, I still have issues with my marionette lines. It's just a lot better than it used to be. I have had so many of you comment to me lately about how to use the Nera, in particular for marionette lines. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. There seems to be a little bit of unsureness or timidness about how to use it. I'm going to show you how I use it. But first I want to talk about what it is that happens to our faces as we grow older and why we get these marionette lines and the nasolabial folds and the other wrinkles on our face. It has to do with loss of collagen. What happens, depending on what study you read, is that you lose between 1 to 2% of your collagen every year, starting I think like at 25 or 30. It's pretty young. When you're talking about someone my age, I'm going to be 66 in a few months, that's a whole lot less collagen. I mean, we're talking 40 years loss of collagen right there. So what we're trying to do when we're looking for rejuvenation of our skin and a softening of our wrinkles is to produce collagen. How this works is that it sends a laser beam into your skin. Sounds scary, it's not. And what it does is it creates just a micro damage to that area, which then signals your body to come in and produce more collagen. It's kind of like this squeaky wheel syndrome. In other words, because your body has been damaged there, it focuses on that area to heal it and sends in more collagen and elastin, and that's what helps the nasolabial folds and the marionette lines to look softer, is you have a little bit more collagen in that area. I have really seen a pretty dramatic difference in my marionette lines, and that's pretty much where I focus this now. If someone were to ask me what is the best use of the Nera, clearly it will help with wrinkles all over your face. But what I have found the biggest change for me is in those deep creases, and you can see I have deep creases still in that area, but they're just a lot softer. That's because I have more collagen and elastin in that area. The Nera is a very, very quick and easy to use device, and I was reading on the website, they say it's 2 minutes a day. I'm not even sure it takes that long, but I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration for you today and show you just how quick it is. First of all, you plug it in right here. I just keep mine plugged in all the time. In other words, when I'm done with it this morning, I'm just going to go back and plug it in. Why do I need to do that? No, it just makes sure that it's always fully charged. So what you do is that you turn it on down here, and you're going to see that there's lights. There's several lights. I don't know, it might not show up on the camera, but there's several lights here. You can pick your intensity. If you have sensitive skin, just go on the first level. If your skin is medium, you can go on 2, 3, or 4. I always go on 5 because I don't have sensitive skin. So once you've chosen your level, you go ahead and just place it where you want it to hit. And what I do is I actually go right along that line to get the most impact in that area. Clearly it's going to spread out once it enters your skin, but I wanted to really focus on that line. So I simply just go right up that line and I hit this button right here and that engages it. And what you want to do is that you want to press it into your skin so you get a full contact. If you're not contacted completely, it'll go beep beep or something, give you like a little arrow noise so that you know that you haven't gotten there all completely. See, that was the arrow noise right there. So I'm going to go ahead and look in the mirror over here so I can see what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is I'm just going right along that line. All the way up. And I don't know, what did that take? 15 seconds? So here's the other line. So what did that take? About 20 seconds. And what I did is I have 3 lines on this side. I went up one, I went up the second one, and I went up the third one. Then I can go up my nasal labial folds. And I just move it a little bit up. And then if you want to do the crow's feet on the outside of your eyes, I can't see you guys now. I'm going to try to do it. So I'll just go right along that crow's feet line right there. And boom, I'm done. You definitely can go underneath your eyes. I don't, simply because I don't really have wrinkles there. It's more crinkly. I really focus on the wrinkles that have the deep creases and the deep lines when I'm using my NIRA. I love this little thing. At 40% off, I think it's a heck of a bargain. I actually think it's a heck of a bargain at full price because here is my philosophy about at-home skincare devices. When you're working with a company, particularly like NIRA, who specializes in commercial grade lasers, you're getting the same technology at home. It's just not as strong. But here's the thing. Once you own the device, you own it. You can use it anytime you want. You don't have to make an appointment. You don't have to pay again for another treatment. You can do your treatments as often as you want, which is why I think these at-home skincare devices, when you find a good one, and I think I found a really good one in the NIRA, they're such a bargain because once you own them, you've got them. The NIRA is on sale, like I said, for 40% off for their birthday sale, and they do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy, send it on back. You'll get a refund for your purchase. I really do love the NIRA very much. I think it's done great things for my marionette lines, and I appreciate that. Boy, by golly, as you can see from the picture, they were really, really deep and folded over. They're not perfect now, but they're certainly a whole lot better than they were. So the NIRA 40% off birthday sale. If you've been thinking about it, now might be a good time. I'm going to go ahead now and jump in on my morning skincare routine. I can't find my contacts. I can't find them anywhere. I've looked everywhere. I don't know. Here's the funny thing about moving is that things disappear. I didn't find my glasses for a week. They were lost. Now I can't find my contacts. You guys are a little bit fuzzy. What I'm going to start with, and I've been using this as my hydrator. This is the Ion Skin Support. I have been using this in place of sunscreen as a support for my skin. I really do love it. Not only does it support my skin from the rays of the sun, but it's a great hydrator. So I just spray this on my face, on the front and back of my neck, and then down my arms. Love that. The next thing I've been using for my morning skincare routine is the Youth Balm from Beauty Pie. I love this. Here's a curious thing. It's not often that I have a real true love for a skincare item. There's a lot of great skincare items. There's a lot of skincare items out there that I think are super overpriced. This is not one of them. I think this is definitely worth the price. It's a little bit more than what I usually pay for skincare, but it does so much. So what I do is I take a pump of this, and sometimes, like today, I take 2 pumps because, you know, more is better. And I just pat that over my face, And this brightens, firms, it just does so much. And it really just leaves a pretty glow on my skin. And that's actually one of the claims that they make, that it gives a soft, focused glow to your skin. And I can attest to that. It really just does look so very pretty. Usually in the morning, I use my adrenaline. I'm out and I can't find my new bottles. They're somewhere in a box. So that would generally go on next. My Argireline is my Botox in a bottle. That goes on my 11s and on my crow's feet out here, just a little dab. So what I'm going to hop into next is the Ordinary Lactic Acid. This is their 10% with hyaluronic acid. I am using this because I can find it. I generally like the salicylic acid. I think it's the anhydrous solution. I can't remember the name of it. I can't find that. This is what I've been using instead. And what I use it for is, you can either call them blackheads or sebaceous filaments. You know, those little oily things you get on your nose and on your chin, at least I do. And what I do is I just take a little bit in the dropper. I put a tiny amount in the palm of my hand, and I just tap my fingers into it, and that goes over my nose and on my chin. And that really helps to keep those pores moving along so I don't get those little blackheads or sebaceous filaments, whatever you want to call them. And of course, you guys know everything that goes on my face, what's left over goes on the backs of my hands. Next up, I'm going to use my Ordinary. This is their eyelash serum. It's a peptide serum. Absolutely love this. This is the best serum I've tried. Plus, it's the most affordable one I've tried. This is only $14. If you guys haven't tried this and you're looking for longer lashes, this is the ticket right here. Next up, I'm going to use something I've been testing and trying. This is from Murad, and this is their Environmental Shield Rapid Dark Spot Correcting Serum. They actually sent this to me, and I have just a few dark spots. It's not a big skincare issue for me. I have one underneath my chin here and a few on the sides of my face, and I'm actually just testing and trying this to see if it's going to work on my dark spots. I have no idea. I've been using this, gosh, for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, probably since I moved in. So I just put a couple of pumps on the back of my hand, and I kind of hit the areas where I have the dark spots right here. And then, of course, anything else just goes onto the backs of my hands. And then for moisturizer today, I am testing and trying the Invisicrepe Hyaluronic Acid Aqua Gel Cream. I like this a lot. It's very hydrating, and it's light, which I appreciate because I'm here in the South. It's so hot and so very humid. So I just put a little bit on the back of my hand, and then that gets patted around my face. And I always make sure that I get on my eyelids as well, and underneath my eyes and down my neck. And there we have it. I did my Nera treatment and my morning skincare, and I don't know, what did that take? A few minutes? Not very long. I picked these frames up, actually these 2 pieces of artwork, up at the local SPCA thrift store, and I really do love the artwork and the frames. However, the colorway of the artwork just doesn't work in my house, but the frames and the mats and everything are in just such great condition. They were $15 each, and I went ahead and picked them up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and pop the artwork out of the frames and redo it fitting to the colors in my new home. So let's hop in and get this little DIY project going. I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the paper backing. It's always sad to do that when they do a good job, which they did with this particular set. But we're going to need to take that off in order to get to the artwork underneath it. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a screwdriver for picking up these brads. I think it'll just be easier. Once the frames are removed from the artwork, you can see that it's just a print that's been cut out and glued onto this board, and then the mat has gone over it. Really, the beauty of this set is the frames and the mats. That's what really creates it. The artwork itself is really not that spectacular. It's just interesting and a particular colorway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint right over this particular artwork with the colors that I want for myself. I'm just going to do a really easy geometric pattern. It's going to go in an area right in the entryway, so it doesn't have to be anything fancy or spectacular. I just want something that's going to enhance that area of the entryway. Neither one of these pieces have any kind of texture to them, so the surface is going to be very smooth, so I won't have to worry about there being an uneven texture that doesn't fit with the artwork that I'm going to be creating. For the materials for this project, I just picked up some really inexpensive things from Hobby Lobby. I actually got 3 bottles of this folk art paint. I think it was like $1.19 each or something. I got 2 different greens because I'm not sure which one I'm going to want to use, or I might blend the 2 together. And then I just picked up a very, very inexpensive set of brushes. This was like $5.99. That's the first coat down. I'm going to let this dry, come back, put another coat on, and then start with the detail work. It's the next morning and I've already gone to the farmer's market and had my coffee, and I am so excited about this morning because I finally set aside a few minutes to do some vegetable planting, which I am so thrilled about. If you saw me shovel the compost, and I did shovel 3 yards of compost and there's more coming. So there's just a temporary break in the shoveling action, and I am going to be able to plant a few things today. What you didn't see when I was doing the shoveling, I actually have 10 15-gallon containers that I'm going to be doing my fall garden in. So these are my raised bed containers, and these are actually made out of a fabric so that you can empty them out and fold them up into almost nothing. They're super, super handy. They're very durable, and they will grow a whole lot of food. Today I have just a few things that I'm going to be planting in a couple of the containers and also in a few slots, I think, of my green stock planters. You might have seen me fill up these green stock planters when I was shoveling the compost. These planters are actually really, really brilliant, and they can house so much food in them. This is made by a company, I think it's called Greenstock. I'm not sure, I'm going to have to look it up, but I'll definitely have them linked below. And the cool thing is that they take up a very small space, so they have a small footprint at the bottom, but they're tall. And I believe you can get them in a 7-tier and a 5-tier. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just kind of going from memory. The cool thing is that each one of these little containers you can house a vegetable in. So you can have a tremendous amount of food in one of these containers. Both of mine are 7 tiers, and each tier has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how many. So what's 6 times 7? I can't even remember anymore. It's a big number. And you can have an individual vegetable plant in each one of these. You can plant flowers in them as well. Now, how do you water? You water from this top reservoir up here, and you just simply pour water in the top, and it distributes all the way down the planter bed. I haven't used green stalks yet, although I've been following them for years. They're really just such a clever way to grow a lot of vegetables. Today, I don't know if I'm going to be planting anything in them, but definitely these are going to feature huge in my fall garden. Today, I'm going to be planting a couple of tomato plants, cherry tomato plants to be exact, in my containers back along the fence line. And some of you are probably now wondering, Kimberly, do you know what month it is? And the answer is, yeah, I do. Surprisingly, I do know it's August. And why am I planting tomatoes in August? Well, that's a really good question. Here in South Carolina, we have a very long growing season, which is one of the reasons why I moved here, because of the growing season. This particular tomato, this is a Husky Cherry Red. And you know what? I just picked this plant up at Lowe's just because they had it, and you can see that it is fairly well established. I don't know how big this pot is. Okay, it says it's a 2.32 quart pot. This plant does have some growth on it. It actually has a couple of blooms here. Because I'm in a long growing season and my first frost date is not until November 1st, I have all of August, all of September, and all of October to grow frost tender plants, which this is one. Now this particular Husky Red Cherry Tomato, let's go ahead and see what the maturity date is. It's 65 days after planting. So that means 2.5 months after putting the seed into the ground, you can expect to start harvesting fruit off of this plant. This plant is already established. You can see that. And when I put it into this supercharged compost from Brian over at the Grassroots Nursery, it's going to take off like a shot. Because I have warmer temperatures heading into November, there's a very good chance that I'm going to get a good little cherry tomato harvest off this plant. I love cherry tomatoes. I eat them like candy. So I have 2 cherry tomato plants that I'm going to be planting today. Looking forward to having some very late season cherry tomatoes in late September and October. The other thing I'm going to plant today is this basil plant. Isn't this beautiful? And as pretty as it is, it smells so much better. I love the scent of basil. It's just lovely. Did you know that you can make basil tea? I've never made basil tea, but if I get extra basil, or if this bolts, I'm going to go ahead and use that to make some basil tea. I'm going to go ahead and plant this basil as well in one of these containers. Normally, I would put basil in my green stock planters right here, but you can see this is a fairly large root ball on this plant already, and it really would be cramming it into this area in order to plant it in my green stalks. If I had a smaller basil plant, I could put it in there, or maybe what I'll do is I'll just take one of these basil stems here. There's several stems in this pot, so I actually got several basil plants in this pot. I might just break off one and put it here in the green stalk, because the root ball of just the one will be smaller and it will grow into the area underneath this watering tray and be just fine. So I should be able to get this basil going. The only thing that I'm concerned about is the extreme heat right now. So I've gone ahead and just broken off one of these little basil plants here, and I'm going to go ahead and just pinch off any leaves that aren't looking really healthy, just so that the leaves that are doing well have more energy to work with. So this particular basil plant is going to go into my green stock planter, and then the rest of what is here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants just on this one plant, which is really quite the little bargain. And this one is going to be planted into one of my 15-gallon raised bed containers. I have had several of you ask me in comments or emails or messages, that sort of thing, why I chose Aiken, South Carolina to move to. And I think that's such a good question. The interesting thing is that the answer is so broad and so disconnected in all these different areas, but I'll try to address it in a way that maybe you can understand. I have always loved traveling. I have traveled quite a bit in my lifetime, and I've traveled around the world. There are some countries I haven't been to. I don't know if I'm going to be leaving the country again in the future. I don't know. Right now it doesn't seem like it. But I've always enjoyed seeing different parts of the planet, and I can remember in my 20s thinking, I want to see everything before I leave. I want to see everything on the planet. And I've done a pretty good job of investigating or exploring or visiting places that I was attracted to. I have spent most of my life on the West Coast. I was actually born and raised in California, and both my daughters were born and raised in California as well. So the West Coast is fairly familiar to me. I was in California for many, many years, both Southern California and Northern California. I prefer Northern California. Then I lived in Oregon with my daughter in an area of Portland, which was lovely. I recently traveled outside the country for a little over a year, and then I traveled within the country for about another year after that. What happened for me is, as much as I loved California, I loved growing up in California, I loved raising my girls in California. There is so much about California that I absolutely love, and I still to this day think it's one of the prettiest places on the planet. Unfortunately for me, maybe those of you who live in California now can relate to this. The California of today is not the California I grew up in. The California I grew up in was very, very sweet and calm and relaxed, and I was mostly in Northern California, and it was just a real family-oriented area, and I loved it. It was wonderful. Today, it's very, very different, and for me, someone who saw the changes over the years, it really has not changed in my mind for the better. If you live in California and you love it, I support you in that 100%. I'm not saying California isn't a great place to live in some areas for some people. Just for me, it wasn't quite feeling the same. So I was really looking around for some place to move to that felt sweet and hometownish and very safe and had a long growing season and was just someplace I felt like I could relax in. So a number of things started happening. First of all, my girlfriend Patty, who was back in the Lake Tahoe area, started talking about South Carolina and how beautiful it was. She had lived in Florida on a boat for several years, so was familiar with this part of the country. In addition, I have not spent that much time on the East Coast. I've done trips to New York with the girls. I've gone to Martha's Vineyard and that whole thing. But I really haven't investigated or spent time on the East Coast, and it definitely was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to see the Appalachian Trail, I wanted to see the Ozarks. There's just a lot on the East Coast that I really had not investigated or spent any time enjoying. So that was another big part is, gosh, there's a whole part of the country that I really know nothing about. So I started looking around at different places within the U.S. When I was traveling outside of the U.S., and particularly when I left, I didn't know if I was going to come back to the U.S. I thought I might find another country that felt more comfortable for me and felt like someplace I wanted to kind of settle down in. That didn't happen. At least it hasn't happened yet. So I was back in the U.S. looking around at different cities, and I kept seeing Aiken, South Carolina. I saw some YouTube videos. I saw some other articles. I think there's a magazine that voted Aiken the best small southern town. Don't quote me on that, but I think that that's what happened. So I did a little bit of research, actually quite a bit of research about the area that I'm in now. I looked at Arkansas. I looked at different parts of South Carolina. I really was investigating that whole area, and actually last fall, I took a road trip, drove across the country again. Well, actually, that was the first time. The second time was when I came here to South Carolina and explored Florida. I thought I might want to move to Florida, along with everybody else. Everybody's moving to Florida these days. Well, Florida is lovely. I absolutely want to spend some time there, but it didn't feel like someplace I wanted to settle in permanently. So I was back in the Lake Tahoe area enjoying it, but still really wanting some place that I could settle down in plant a garden, really just have a much calmer, more peaceful life, which I'd been looking for quite some time. So I decided to come to South Carolina for 2 weeks. My daughter agreed to come and watch my little critters and take care of my place while I was gone. And I flew out for 2 weeks, and I flew into Greenville. I saw the Greenville area, explored that area, and then I hopped in a rental car and I drove here to Aiken. And by gosh, you know, the funniest thing happened when I drove into Aiken. I just kind of really felt at home. And that has been a continuing theme for me since I've visited Aiken and now I live here. It just feels like home, and I can't really define it or describe it other than to say it really reminds me of what California used to be. Now clearly the weather's a little different. It's warmer and humid. I don't know if it's warmer. It's definitely more humid. And the foliage, the local plant growth and that sort of thing is a little bit different. But it's the sweetness of the community. It's the small town feel. It's just the sense of peace and comfort I have when I'm here that really reminds me of what I grew up in. So what I can say right now is I am absolutely having a ball. I love, love, love it here. It is so peaceful. Life is so easy here. I never, and I mean never, have to get on a freeway. I am so over freeway driving. If you've ever driven on an LA freeway, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If I never see another freeway again, it'll be too soon. There actually aren't any freeways in this town. Literally, everything I do is 5 to 10 minutes away. It's an easy, slow, peaceful, beautiful drive. Just the lifestyle here is so very, very sweet. So what I can say now is I am definitely loving my decision to give Aiken a try at least for a year. I'm having a wonderful time. I'm enjoying the neighborhood that I live in very much. It is so calm. Everyone is so friendly. And I'll tell you a little story. There was a tremendous storm, a short but tremendous storm here a couple of nights ago. I mean, thunder and lightning and buckets of rain and wind. It was wild. The animals were going nuts. The power went out. It was really, really crazy, but kind of fun. You know, it's not cold. It was a warm summer storm, but pretty dramatic. So once the rain stopped, I grabbed little Lucy Lou, put her leash on, and she and I went out for a walk just to kind of see what was going on in the neighborhood. Well, all the neighbors were out. They were out on their front lawns. They were chatting. They were talking to me like I'd lived here for 30 years. It was really, really sweet. And that's the best way that I can describe it, was just sweet. Everyone was chatty. They were sharing their experiences. We were laughing about the tremendous storm that just blew through here. It was a lovely moment that unfortunately I was not seeing over on the West Coast and hadn't seen there for a while. So I am loving living here in Aiken. Am I going to stay? I don't know. We'll see. I'm a bit of a tumbleweed, so commitment, as you can probably tell, is not my deal. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I certainly am loving it right now. I'm enjoying everything about it and definitely appreciating the smaller town feel and the sweet nature of just the community. So that's my long answer to a very short question. How did you pick Aiken? I'm sure that I will reflect on it in future videos. And if you have any more questions, put them in the comments down below. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me in my little life here in Aiken, South Carolina. I so appreciate it when you take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. I just get such a thrill from that, and I appreciate you. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. Make it a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.